Hi and welcome to this discussion regarding sustainable international recruitment. Today's event is part of Lund University's Sustainability Week, and as it turns out, we will not only talk about international recruitment, but sustainable international recruitment. I am Ulf Mausbach, and I will be the moderator during the forthcoming discussion. I'm sitting here in the capacity of coordinator for Moving In, a research project that highlights different social science perspectives regarding mobility, with researchers from Lund University in close collaboration with a network of external partners. During today's discussion, I'm also here in my capacity of head of the law department, with my own experience of international recruitments and mobility issues within Lund University. And by my side, I have 3 members of the Moving In network who all share my interest in sustainable international recruitments. Karin Vandenborre, Recruitment and Mobility Officer at European Spallation source, ERIC. That's correct?
That's correct.
Henrik Berkesköld, Senior Relocation Specialist at Massive Entertainment in Malmö. And finally, Lisa Andersson. We are actually in your office right now. You're a talent attraction developer at International Citizen Hub Lund for the city of Lund. And we have all met before, and some of us have had similar conversations. Half a year ago, we organized a discussion similar to today's, regarding mobility challenges in times of a pandemic. And today we will try to reach out to a broader audience, but still maintaining a focus on issues that relates to international recruitment. And before I hand over the floor to the main speakers holding this discussion today, Karin, Henrik and Lisa, I should say something briefly about the framework for our discussions. And international recruitment is a logical starting point. And recruitment at Lund University is a decision process carefully tailored in order to secure equality and transparency that are focused on the skills of the applicant. I will not talk in depth about rules and regulations that apply in this regard, but in relation to the topic of today's discussion, it may be relevant to highlight that we are talking about a complex system that is difficult to understand for an external viewer. And it is worth emphasizing that the situation is very similar for private entities. So recruitment is our point of departure, but it is not our destination. Today's discussion is about a quest that we all have in common, and it relates to a hidden treasure, a treasure that we all have in front of us, a resource that we should learn to identify and exploit. And I'm talking about the invisible talent that is embodied by partners to the person that we actually recruit. Usually, we focus all our attention on the person that we want to recruit, but now we want to switch our attention to the partner that follows along. And this is important for 2 reasons. The first and perhaps most obvious would be that the society in general benefits from making it easier for the partner to find a job, a suitable job while they are staying in Sweden anyway, in Lund and Malmö in our cases. However, even more important is the fact that there is a direct correlation between being able to convince our recruitments to keep their positions and the well-being of the partner along with the rest of the family. If we manage to make life easier for the partner and the family, we will most likely manage to keep our recruitments with us and thus make the recruitment sustainable. And it works, unfortunately, the other way around. If we do not manage to make life livable for the partner, we can be assured that our recruitments and their families will leave. Hence, we need to work more actively with the partners and include attention to partners and families in our recruitment processes. And we need to make the invisible talent visible. And we need to find ways for the partner and the family to enjoy staying in Sweden. If we manage to accomplish this, our investment in international recruitment will pay off. Put differently, the recruitment will be sustainable. But if we neglect this task, it will soon turn out that the international recruitment becomes a costly failure. And this is what today's discussion is about. How we can be better at making the invisible visible. And we will discuss this in relation to 3 different themes. The first one is a crucial issue in this regard, how we manage to manage expectations. And for that, I will leave the floor to Karin.
Thank you. I will start with setting the scene a little bit and giving a little bit of an explanation about what European Spallation Source, short ESS, is all about. We are a research facility that is being constructed in Lund, and we have our data management software center in Copenhagen. We have 530 employees approximately today, 54 different nationalities represented, and more than 60% of our employees are non-Swedes or non-locals. So we carry a very large responsibility when we initiate and we complete international recruitment, since we get people from traveling all over the world to come to our little corner of Sweden. And it is, as you mentioned, it's crucial that the family falls into place upon arrival, because otherwise we have done a big investment and put in a lot of resources that will just be a waste of time and money. As the recruitment will falter. And when we discuss about setting the expectations for the spouses, I think the important thing to remember is that we recruit on a global arena. So when we find the right talent somewhere in an odd corner of the world, we will make great investments to get a person to come to Sweden. And that might give the impression of that it's very easy to penetrate the Swedish labor market. So when the spouse arrive here, they can have an expectation of ease, that it will be easy to find a job, to find an opportunity for them here on the local arena, which is unfortunately not the case. This is not unique for Sweden. It's important to remember this is something that you struggle with in every country. But the thing that is maybe a little bit more typical for Sweden is that we have a society where we have all the social welfare constructed around, and the tax system constructed around a system where it's individual taxation. So if you only have one income in the family, that will affect the final economic balance, so to say, for the family. So it's important if you're a larger family to find an opportunity for your spouse as well. And when we say manage expectations, it's important to know that every time when you move into a new society or a new labor market, there are unique rules and opportunity that applies. You have to understand them before you arrive. I think it's important to start to look for opportunities already before you leave your home country. It's very important for us as employees to take this responsibility also and clearly communicate what the circumstances are here. We have a lot of collaboration here on the local market, and Lisa will explain more about them later, what we try to do for our international partners upon arrival. When you come to a new environment, you have to see it as an adventure. You have to come with open mindset and embrace the opportunities that are there. The Swedish labor market is typically so that if you have an opportunity already, a job opportunity, it will be easier to get a second one or to get another one. So therefore, if you have a very unique expertise, it's important to try to search for opportunities before you arrive and to try to build up a network and find contacts already from your home country. I can talk about this for hours and hours because it's very close to my heart, but I will take a brief stop there and hand over.
And you will likely be able to get into the discussion later on as well. But our next theme and our next stop then is Henrik, and you will actually present Massive Entertainment's vision about sustainable recruitment as a starting point for our continued discussion.
Yes, well, we have a pronounced vision at the company that we want the recruited talent to stay as long as possible. 10 years have been mentioned as an ideal time frame. Depends a little, of course, but the idea is to make the recruited talent want to stay on for this amount of time. Partly because the recruitment, of course, is costly, but also because no matter how talented, to hone craftsmanship takes time. So even a very skilled recruitment will need time within the organization to grow to their full potential. So the idea is to make everyone want to stay for as long as possible, but approximately 10 years or so, which is not easy in an environment that's very internationalized and contains quite a lot of nomads or people who are accustomed to moving every once in a while, and also highly project-based. So you work on a project and it has a beginning and an end, and for some that's a clear breaking point of where they can move on to the next interesting thing.
But how is spouses and families relevant in this context?
Yes, well, if most often when moving, a family will make a mutual decision and give it a certain amount of time. So if the partner has not settled in or found their own careers, social arena, etc., within that time, they will simply move somewhere else, and we will lose them. So it is very important for us to make sure that the spouses or this hidden talent also finds a place when they arrive in Sweden.
And what kind of tricks do you have in order to accomplish that? And you're not allowed to mention Lisa's solution yet.
Because it is a very good solution.
We will arrive at that later on.
We've done a little bit of trial and error. We went through a very quick expansion, so we had to learn quickly and make a few mistakes along the way. But we identified a couple of different trails that we needed to follow. One, of course, is the topic of employment. The spouses need, partners need employment in their own careers, their own projects in life to prosper, but also the social aspect, to feel included, feel welcomed, and build their own networks in other ways than maybe the purely job market oriented. So both of these aspects are needed, and we started out creating a network to bring people together in a way that we hope would be helpful. We started sending out targeted information to the spouses directly, so that they would not be get second-hand information from our talent we recruited, because sometimes the information doesn't trickle even to the next person, which is the partner, and sometimes it doesn't feel very inclusive. So we started sending material, and then we worked from there. So within this network, we set up and we try different initiatives to make sure we cover a little bit of the social, but also give what assistance we can with career progression.
What we tend to forget is that when we recruit someone, the person that we recruit will get their computer, they will get their desk. The children, they will go to school. They will all find their reality and their place in the new society. But the partner is the one that is kind of left behind. We don't have the old-fashioned golden rim expat packages anymore in the same way as it was if we look 10 or 20 years back. Now we have normally two professional talents that are traveling the world together, and they have to make a decision whom to prioritize. And I think that also part of our responsibility that I know that we both work simultaneously with, it's that we also share this kind of information prior to their arrival. Before the families arrive here, we try to give them as much insight as possible as to how the Swedish society works, what opportunities there are. And I know that you work a lot with that also, to share this information both before they arrive and once they are here. Because then, if you have the right expectations upon arrival, it will be easier to adapt and to find your place. So I just wanted to add that, sorry.
Yeah, also I remembered something when I was at in the relocation industry, before my time at Massive, there was this psychological curve of moving abroad that was presented, which was very interesting, with the honeymoon phase, the various problems occur, and having lived abroad myself, I can say that it was very accurate in time. At first, you think everything is interesting. It is this adventure you were talking about, and everything is new and exciting. But then, you walk into a store and you realize, I cannot even read the labels. I'm completely lost. You feel like a child, and you start getting annoyed with things and so on. And these. It's a good idea to make people aware that this will happen, because it will. And if you know it beforehand, it is not as big a thing. It might not be this huge life crisis where you start reevaluating the move altogether.
And the social aspect is very important, as you mentioned also. Job opportunities are very important, but to find your way in a society that is a little bit known, unfortunately, as a closed-door society, and to try to penetrate the Swedish social circuit. It's the challenge.
And social circuits in Sweden are very related to what you work with, to your employment.
Yeah.
But you have ideas about solutions already.
Yes.
And now we will actually turn to Lisa, whom will actually address solutions.
Solutions, yes. In brief, I'll tell you that International Citizen Hub Lund is one of the solutions when we knew ASS was going to build here. And the first thing we thought about is that talent that you recruit here, they need that assistance directly. Also coming from the relocation branch, you see that clearly when you're bringing people into the country. And that's why we started it, and we provide these services and basic drop-in service where people come in with those questions. As you said, I can't read the labels. I don't know what I'm buying or what to do. I don't know where to even get a haircut. Can someone speak English? You never know if you go out there shaven head or what. So you need some support in that respect. You need also that social contact to meet somebody who speaks, if it's not your own language, at least English. So you need that support. Then you have to learn about society. You have to learn about the country you're living in. How does the healthcare system work? How do I pay taxes? What happens if I'm looking for a job, or what happens if I want to go in sports? What kind of sports clubs? There's lots of things you need to know and think about if you're going to start getting into society. As you said, the spouse and partner is the forgotten partner. And therefore, we also created these events, which is about 100 to 130 events per year we create to get that information to the spouse and partner. And the most clear thing we found from the very beginning, as you have all talked about, is this invisible talent, is that you need to get into the job market. In Swedish society, you really aren't anyone if you aren't participating in society by working and contributing. And we're talking about people who are highly academic, a lot of years of work experience, a lot of years of studying, and they have a lot to contribute to society, and they want to get out there and work. They've just left their jobs to support their partner in this recruitment. So they want to come out here and contribute. But where do I find a job and how do I go about it? It doesn't work the same way as it does in their home country. Now, Sweden isn't my country, and you don't hear it because I'm speaking English today, but Sweden is not my home country, but it is very foreign. I know 30 years ago when I came here, wow, it's another language, but it's just another way of being. And we're not saying what's good or bad, we're saying it's just different. And how do I get around it? And that's what we're looking at. These spouses and partners, highly educated, lots of work experience, who want to get out there and help. And we need a lot of that competence in our industries, Swedish industries. The problem is that they're invisible. So one of the things we did create was this Kickstart job program. And we did that in 2016 as a pilot and continued.
For partners and spouses.
For partners and spouses, yes, because the recruitment's already done. They're happy, up and running and doing a great job. And we want to contribute so that they stay in those positions. As you said, 10 years is a long time. You need the other partner to get in their career to get moving too, if you want to keep them 10 years. A 2-year job contract project, okay, it's maybe not so bad the partner isn't working for those 2 years. Maybe they can get in and do something. But if you want someone here long term and you want a recruitment to be successful, you want to make sure that partner is taken care of as well. They're just as important. They're the ones who have the power to say, it's not working for me, let's go. And we have found, there was a study in 2012 where they found that about 65 to 70% of the partners were saying, let's go because it's not working. And so all over the world, people were trying to build up these kinds of hubs and these initiatives to help the spouse and partners. So when we look at the job market, we want to get them out into the job market. And we look at that as we created this job program. We looked at the competence coming in and we're looking, my goodness, look at the competence. And these are competences that we have a lack of in Sweden and that we still go outside. So sometimes you think, why are we going outside when we should take a look first at the pool we have here before you go outside? Because it's a double win. We've already recruited a fantastic talent. Let's take advantage of the next talent that's come in. And that's why we look at it as making the invisible talent visible to the Swedish job market, because many companies and industries don't know they're really here. And the reason for that is that it works differently in Sweden to go for jobs, to apply for jobs.
And the partners and spouses don't really know how to make themselves visible.
No, they don't. And it's because, as you brought up, Karin, it's this network. It works very different. In other countries, most, not all, but most countries, you look at your competency. How many years of work experience? What have you done? Put yourself forward. You talk about your work. In Sweden, remember work-life balance? There's two aspects to it. The competency and who you are. And it's another perspective when we're talking about getting people out into the work market.
Yeah.
It's not sufficient just to send your application and to send a cover letter that is like generic and you send it to 500 different employers because you disappear in the midst of all the applications. So it's important to get some support, and we have had a lot of support from the Citizen Hub when it comes to our spouses. They are getting great advice, and there is quite a good success rate on finding new job opportunities.
And you have been working with Lisa as well, Henrik.
Yes.
With success.
With great success, I'd say. It's been tremendously beneficial for us. So much so that we stole, I think, a little bit large percentage of the spots a few years, but and would gladly continue. So no, it has been created tremendous results, and I think it's the sort of what shall we call it, holistic approach that is working. So it's not just a CV writing course. It's everything.
It's a networking activity.
It's a mindset, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's a mindset that we're putting into people here. Don't just think of your CV as you had brought up and send it out there. Who are you? Explain who you are. What do you want to do? Look at your skills. Don't identify yourself as a lawyer. This is a very big challenge for lawyers coming from all over the world. I think you know firsthand one. And what do you do with that? They're so skillful in other ways. Use those skills and apply it to something else the job market needs here. And you'll find that they're out there and they're getting those jobs. So we have provided over, I think it's in a 2-year period, 51% success rate of getting those spouses into the job market, we have found.
Quite impressive.
Yeah, that's what Arbetsförmedlingen, our social insurance agency says.
With that, you have also made 51% of your recruitment successful and sustainable. So there is a correlation here. And the good thing with today's discussion is actually that we identified a problem, if we may call it a problem, or rather a hidden treasure. Yeah. But we have also been able to discuss concrete ways to solve it, or at least to attack this problem. So you need to duplicate yourself, Lisa, and create more citizen hubs around Sweden, because in a way, Lund was the first initiative in this regard. We are running out of time, I think. Time runs fast when you are involved in interesting discussions. But before we close, do you have something to say? A final remark, perhaps?
And then you look at me, and I'm supposed to say something wise and insightful. I think
it
that
can be spontaneous.
It can be
well.
spontaneous, yeah.
And wise and insightful.
And wise and insightful. As an international employer, I think it's important that we take responsibility over the whole package that we recruit.
And the whole package includes
the hidden talent and the potential children, support the municipality with insights in what our talents need to be able to find their place and be happy in the local arena.
And Henrik?
It's such a big topic that many things could be said, but there was something... There are certain things that, for example, private enterprise can do. We can arrange networks, we can buy additional services for employees and hidden talent. But if there's something I would wish for, it's perhaps a better dialogue with sometimes with authorities and government agencies. Because sometimes we speak past each other a little bit, and it creates a little gravel in the machinery. So, because we have many wonderful things in the public sector in Sweden, but for them to be wonderful, they also need to work as expected with a certain amount of predictability.
Can be a topic for our next discussion. Yes. And Lisa, you will have the final word.
Well, I think what we mostly want to see is that invisible talent becomes visible to the Swedish job market. That industries start to look at what we have here, look at that second competence that we have here that they can take advantage of and exploit and take it further, because they have all to win with that. The first initial recruitment they win from for some of these companies like MaunsbachAssociate and many others, plus they get their own talent there. And I think we also look very attractive as a country, embracing this and taking it and helping people. And that's what we want in Sweden. Yeah, and I think we all agree to that. And hopefully some of you that have been listening as well. Thank you very much for paying attention to our discussion.